In a small village nestled between lush green rice paddies and misty hills, the story begins with Lila, a bright-eyed, curious 6-year-old girl who has just moved into her family's new home. The house is no ordinary dwelling. It is an ancient Javanese joglo, a traditional wooden house with intricate carvings and towering pillars that tell stories of generations past. Lila's parents had inherited the house from her late grandmother, Sri, a wise woman known for her kindness and love of storytelling. While her parents are busy unpacking boxes and sweeping away years of dust, Lila wastes no time exploring every corner of the mysterious joglo. She feels as though the house is alive, whispering secrets through its creaking floors and shadowy alcoves. Lila is the kind of child who always asks why and what if. Her imagination runs wild, fueled by the tales her grandmother used to tell her about magical creatures like Lelambut, ghostly spirits, mischievous dwarves called Jenglet, and benevolent guardian spirits. But Lila isn't just dreamy, she's also impulsive. Her eagerness to uncover hidden truths often gets her into trouble. For instance, last week, she climbed onto the kitchen counter to investigate a strange sound, only to knock over a jar of spices and create chaos in the kitchen. Despite her occasional mishaps, Lila's heart is pure. She longs to connect with her late grandmother's memory and hopes the old joglo holds clues to understanding the stories Sri once shared. This desire drives her actions throughout the story, making her relatable to readers, young or old, who have ever felt the pull of nostalgia or the thrill of discovery. On what seems like an ordinary afternoon, Lila decides to play hide-and-seek with her stuffed animals, naming them after characters from her favorite folklore stories. As she searches for the perfect hiding spot, she climbs up to the attic, a dimly lit space filled with forgotten trunks, faded batik fabrics, and bundles of dried herbs hanging from the rafters. While rearranging some items to make room for her game, Lila notices something odd about the wallpaper near one of the walls. It looks slightly uneven, as though something beneath it is pushing outward. Her curiosity piqued, she reaches out and gently peels back a corner of the paper. To her astonishment, she reveals a small, rusted keyhole embedded in the wood behind it. Her heart races. Could this be a secret door? What lies beyond it? The discovery immediately grabs the reader's attention, setting the stage for the mystery to unfold. The story begins on a quiet Saturday afternoon, with the sun casting golden rays through the dusty windows of a creaky old house. This is Lila's first week in her family's new home, a sprawling Victorian-style house tucked away at the edge of town. It's not your typical suburban dwelling. The house is tall, uneven floors, mysterious nooks and crannies, and a faint smell of aged wood that hints at its many secrets. Lila's parents had purchased the house as a fresh start after years of renting cramped apartments. For them, it's a practical decision, a chance to put down roots. But for Lila, it's an adventure waiting to happen. She sees the house as a treasure chest brimming with possibilities, each room holding untold mysteries just waiting to be uncovered. At 6 years old, Lila is a whirlwind of curiosity and imagination. With wide, sparkling eyes and a mop of unruly curls, she's the kind of child who can turn even the dullest day into an epic quest. Her favorite pastime? Exploring. Whether it's digging in the backyard for buried pirate gold or mapping out secret passages under the dining table, Lila thrives on discovery. But Lila's boundless curiosity isn't without consequences. Just last month, she climbed onto the kitchen counter to investigate a buzzing noise, only to knock over a jar of flour and cover herself and the cat in white powder. And earlier this week, while trying to figure out why the basement light flickered, she accidentally locked herself inside, leading to a frantic rescue mission by her dad. Despite these mishaps, Lila's heart is pure. She's driven by a deep desire to understand the world around her and make sense of the stories hidden within it. Readers will instantly connect with her enthusiasm, vulnerability, and occasional impulsiveness, seeing pieces of themselves in her spirited personality. On this particular afternoon, Lila decides to play hide-and-seek with her stuffed animals, Sir Whiskers the fox, Captain Fluffless the bear, and Lady Paws the rabbit. Each toy has been assigned a role in her imaginary game, and they're all determined to find the best hiding spots in the house. Her search leads her to the attic, a shadowy space filled with forgotten furniture, stacks of yellowed books, and cobwebs that shimmer like silver threads in the sunlight. As she moves a wobbly chair to peek behind a stack of boxes, something catches her eye. The wallpaper near the far wall looks off. One section seems slightly raised, as though something beneath it doesn't quite fit. Curiosity takes hold. Ignoring the voice in her head warning her not to touch anything, Lila carefully peels back a corner of the paper. Beneath it lies a small, rusted keyhole embedded in the wooden paneling. Her breath catches. Could this be a hidden door? What could lie beyond it? The discovery immediately hooks readers, setting up the central mystery of the story. Who built this door? Why was it concealed? And most importantly, what secrets does it guard? As Lila steps closer to the hidden door, the attic transforms into a character of its own. A living, breathing entity that seems to pulse with secrets and stories. The air is thick with the scent of aged wood and forgotten memories, mingling with the faint aroma of lavender from an old sachet tucked inside a nearby trunk. Every detail in this space feels deliberate, as though the house itself is guiding her toward something important. Cobwebs drape the rafters like delicate lace curtains, swaying gently in the breeze that sneaks through cracks in the walls. Dust motes dance in the shafts of sunlight streaming through grimy windows, their golden glow softening the otherwise eerie atmosphere. Shadows stretch long across the floorboards, shifting subtly as if they're alive and watching her every move. The attic isn't silent, it hums with life. Faint creaks echo through the room, as though the house is settling under the weight of time. Occasionally, Lila hears what sounds like distant footsteps, though she knows no one else is upstairs. At first, she brushes it off as her imagination running wild, but when the sound grows louder, almost rhythmic, it sends a shiver down her spine. She pauses, clutching Sir Whiskers tightly to her chest. "Is someone here?" she whispers, her voice barely audible over the ambient noises. When there's no reply, she shakes her head, chalking it up to the house's quirks. But deep down, she can't shake the feeling that she's being watched, or perhaps even guided. Lila turns her attention back to the hidden door, now fully exposed after peeling away more of the faded wallpaper. The wooden paneling surrounding the keyhole is intricately carved with swirling patterns that resemble vines or roots, giving it an almost organic appearance. It looks out of place compared to the rest of the attic's plain, utilitarian design, as if it belongs to another era entirely. Her fingers trace the carvings, marveling at how smooth and polished they feel despite their age. She notices tiny symbols etched into the wood, symbols she doesn't recognize but instinctively senses hold meaning. They remind her of the illustrations in her grandmother's old storybooks, where magical creatures and enchanted objects often hid clues for brave adventurers. Every movement Lila makes seems to elicit a response from the house. When she presses her ear against the door, hoping to hear something on the other side, the floorboards groan beneath her feet. When she steps back, the faint sound of footsteps fades, leaving only silence. It's as though the house is testing her resolve, daring her to push forward. The longer she stays in the attic, the more she begins to notice small details that hint at its history. A faded photograph tucked behind a loose board shows a family dressed in clothes from decades past, their faces solemn yet kind. An antique music box sits atop a dusty shelf, its lid slightly ajar. When Lila winds it up, it plays a hauntingly beautiful melody that fills the room with warmth. A stack of letters tied with a ribbon lies forgotten in a corner, their yellowed pages whispering tales of love, loss, and longing. Each discovery adds layers to the setting, making the house feel less like a mere backdrop and more like a guardian of untold stories. Lila starts to wonder if the house wants her to uncover its secrets, or if it's warning her to leave them buried. Despite its mysterious aura, the attic also exudes charm. There's something comforting about the way the sunlight filters through the windows, casting warm patches of light onto the worn furniture. The mismatched trunks and boxes scattered around suggest a life once lived, a home filled with laughter, tears, and everything in between. Even the cobwebs seem less menacing when viewed through this lens, resembling delicate works of art rather than signs of neglect. The attic is both eerie and inviting, a paradox that mirrors Lila's emotions as she stands before the hidden door. Part of her is scared, but a larger part is thrilled by the prospect of adventure. After discovering the hidden keyhole, Lila's mind races with possibilities. What could be behind that door? Treasure? A secret passageway? Or perhaps something magical, like a portal to another world? Her excitement grows as she scours the attic for a key, but her search turns up nothing. Frustrated but undeterred, Lila decides to expand her hunt to the rest of the house. She descends the creaky stairs and begins inspecting every nook and cranny, her stuffed animals in tow. Finally, in the dusty corner of the living room, she spots an antique clock sitting on a side table. Its pendulum is still, frozen in time, but when she opens the glass case to examine it, she finds a small compartment at the back. Inside lies a rusty skeleton key, its tarnished surface glinting faintly in the sunlight. Her heart leaps. Could this be the key to the hidden room? Back in the attic, Lila carefully inserts the key into the lock. It resists at first, stiff from years of disuse, but with a determined twist, she hears a satisfying click. The wooden panel swings open with a groan, revealing a narrow doorway shrouded in darkness. Lila hesitates for a moment, clutching Sir Whiskers tightly before stepping inside. At first glance, the room seems disappointingly ordinary. Faded newspapers are scattered across the floor, their headlines yellowed with age. Broken furniture, a splintered chair, a cracked mirror, and a rickety desk lies haphazardly against the walls. Dust blankets everything, muffling sound and dulling color. Lila frowns. This wasn't what she had imagined at all. No treasure chests, no mysterious artifacts, no glowing portals. Just junk. Her shoulders slump as disappointment washes over her. Maybe the hidden room wasn't so special after all. Just as Lila turns to leave, a faint whisper drifts through the air. It's soft and indistinct, almost like the rustle of leaves or the murmur of wind, but there's no breeze in the sealed-off room. She freezes, her pulse quickening. "Hello," she calls out tentatively, her voice trembling. The whisper comes again, louder this time, emanating from the far corner of the room. Lila squints into the shadows, trying to make out any movement. At first, she sees nothing, but then a flicker catches her eye. A sliver of light reflects off something metallic tucked beneath the broken desk. Curiosity overriding fear, Lila kneels down and pulls out a small, leather-bound journal. Its cover is worn and cracked, but the pages inside are surprisingly intact. As she flips through them, she realizes they're filled with handwritten entries, dated decades ago, belonging to someone named Clara. The first few pages describe Clara's life in the house. She writes about playing hide-and-seek with her younger brother, Thomas, and how much she loved exploring the attic. But as Lila reads further, the tone shifts. Clara talks about a time of hardship, how her family was forced to sell the house during difficult financial times, and how she and Thomas were separated. They promised each other they'd reunite someday, but Clara never saw him again. In one entry, Clara mentions hiding their most cherished belongings in different parts of the house before they left, hoping they'd find them again if they ever returned. She ends the passage with a heartfelt plea. "If anyone finds this, please help me keep my promise to Thomas." What initially seemed like a letdown, the pile of old newspapers and broken furniture, turns out to be the beginning of a deeper mystery. The room isn't empty. It's a time capsule, preserving fragments of Clara's past. Each item holds significance, waiting to be pieced together. As Lila sits cross-legged on the dusty floor, clutching the journal, she feels a renewed sense of purpose. This isn't just about finding hidden treasures anymore. It's about solving a puzzle and honoring Clara's wish. The false start serves as a clever twist, subverting readers' expectations while ramping up the tension and intrigue. As Lila pores over Clara's journal, she becomes increasingly invested in the sibling story. The entries paint a vivid picture of two children torn apart by circumstances beyond their control, war, poverty, and the harsh realities of life in a bygone era. Clara's words are filled with longing, hope, and determination, making her plight feel immediate and real to Lila. But there's a catch. Her parents have already started discussing plans to renovate the house. They've hired contractors to come in next week to modernize the space, which means tearing down walls, replacing floors, and clearing out anything deemed unnecessary, including the attic and its hidden treasures. If Lila doesn't act quickly, Clara's belongings, and the chance to honor her promise, could be lost forever. The stakes are clear. Lila must find all of Clara's cherished items before the renovations begin. But the task won't be easy. The clues in the journal are cryptic, requiring her to decipher riddles and follow trails that span the entire house. Every wrong turn or missed detail could cost her precious time. According to the journal, Clara and Thomas hid 3 significant objects in different parts of the house. A locket containing a family photograph, buried near the base of the old oak tree in the backyard. A toy soldier, tucked inside a hollow book on the highest shelf in the library. A faded photograph of the siblings together, concealed behind a loose brick in the fireplace. Each item represents a piece of their bond, a tangible reminder of their love for each other. For Clara, these objects were symbols of hope, proof that even if they couldn't stay together physically, their connection would endure. For Lila, finding them becomes more than just a game. It's a mission to preserve their memory and fulfill Clara's final wish. For Lila, this quest is also deeply personal. She sees herself in Clara. Both are young, imaginative, and driven by curiosity. Yet, unlike Clara, who was powerless to change her fate, Lila has the opportunity to make a difference. This realization fuels her determination, but also challenges her patience and resourcefulness. Her impulsiveness, which often gets her into trouble, threatens to derail her progress. For example, while searching the library, she accidentally knocks over a stack of books, drawing her mother's attention. She narrowly avoids getting caught by hiding behind a curtain. In the backyard, she digs too enthusiastically around the oak tree, creating a mess that raises suspicions when her dad notices the disturbed soil. Late at night, while investigating the fireplace, she nearly sets off the smoke alarm after accidentally lighting a match too close to some old papers. Despite these setbacks, Lila learns to slow down, think critically, and approach problems methodically. Each obstacle forces her to grow, teaching her valuable lessons about perseverance and responsibility. The emotional weight of the conflict lies not only in the ticking clock, but also in the poignant nature of Clara's story. Readers can't help but empathize with the sibling separation and root for Lila as she strives to bring closure to their unfinished chapter. The journal entries serve as a bridge between past and present, allowing readers to connect with Clara on a deeply human level. At one point, Lila reads an especially moving passage where Clara writes, "I promised Thomas we'd see each other again someday. Until then, I'll keep our treasures safe, so he'll always know how much I love him." Tears well up in Lila's eyes as she realizes the gravity of what she's doing. It's no longer just about solving a mystery, it's about keeping a promise made decades ago. As the days pass, the pressure mounts. Lila sneaks around the house whenever she can, piecing together clues and retrieving the hidden items one by one. But with each success comes new complications. After finding the locket under the oak tree, she struggles to clean it without damaging the delicate chain. When she retrieves the toy soldier from the hollow book, she drops it, chipping its painted surface, a moment that fills her with guilt. And when she finally uncovers the photograph behind the fireplace brick, she discovers it's partially burned, leaving only half of the siblings' faces visible. These challenges test her resolve, forcing her to confront her own fears and doubts. Can she really pull this off? Or will she fail, letting Clara and Thomas down? With time running out, Lila throws herself into the final leg of her quest. Each step forward is met with new challenges, testing her resolve and pushing her to grow in ways she never expected. Yet, despite the obstacles, her determination only strengthens, fueled by her growing empathy for Clara and Thomas. Lila's journey takes her through every corner of the house, from the dusty basement to the towering bookshelves in the library. Along the way, she encounters several locked doors that stand between her and the answer she seeks. In one instance, while searching for the hollow book containing the toy soldier, she discovers a locked cabinet in the library. Frustrated but undeterred, she improvises, using a bent paperclip she finds in her pocket to pick the lock, a skill she learned from watching old detective shows. When the cabinet finally swings open, revealing the hidden toy soldier, she lets out a triumphant cheer, quickly stifling it when she hears footsteps approaching. Cryptic clues add another layer of complexity to her mission. The journal mentions the fireplace brick as the hearth where warmth once dwelled, but Lila struggles to interpret its meaning. After hours of fruitless searching, she finally notices a faint crack in one of the bricks near the base of the fireplace. Using a butter knife from the kitchen, she carefully pries it loose, uncovering the partially burned photograph. Though damaged, It's enough to confirm the siblings' bond, and it fills her with a surge of hope. One of the most nerve-wracking moments comes late at night when Lila sneaks downstairs to investigate the fireplace. She tiptoes past her parents' bedroom, holding her breath as the floorboards creak beneath her feet. Just as she's about to pull out the loose brick, she hears her mom stirring in the kitchen. Panicking, Lila ducks behind the couch, clutching the photograph to her chest. Her heart pounds as her mom walks into the living room, humming softly while making tea. For what feels like an eternity, Lila remains perfectly still, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. What if her mom finds her? What if she gets grounded before finishing the quest? Finally, after what seems like forever, her mom returns to bed, leaving Lila alone once more. Shaken but relieved, she slips back upstairs, vowing to be more careful moving forward. A bittersweet reminder of their love, and strengthens her resolve to reunite their treasures. When she retrieves the toy soldier, she imagines Thomas playing with it as a child, imagining battles and adventures just like she does now. The connection makes her feel closer to him, even though they've never met. And when she finally uncovers the photograph, despite its damage, she sees the siblings' faces, proof that their bond was real and worth preserving. Each success brings her closer to completing the puzzle, filling her with a sense of accomplishment and purpose. These moments of joy balance the tension, keeping readers invested in her journey. By the end of her quest, Lila has gathered all 3 items: the locket, the toy soldier, and the photograph. She carries them back to the hidden room, where she lays them out on the dusty floor. As she arranges them side by side, she feels a profound sense of satisfaction, not just because she solved the mystery, but because she honored Clara's promise. She reads aloud from the journal one last time, her voice soft but steady. "If anyone finds this, please help me keep my promise to Thomas." "I did it, Clara," Lila whispers, tears welling up in her eyes. "I kept your promise." For a moment, the room seems to glow with warmth, as if the house itself is thanking her. The shadows retreat, and the air feels lighter, almost magical. Lila smiles, knowing she's made a difference, not just for Clara and Thomas, but for herself. As Lila sits in the hidden room, surrounded by Clara's treasures, the locket, the toy soldier, and the faded photograph, she feels a deep sense of closure. She has done what she set out to do, honor Clara's promise and reunite the siblings' cherished belongings. But just as she begins to stand up, ready to leave the room, something catches her eye. Behind the pile of old newspapers and broken furniture, there's a small wooden box tucked into the corner, almost invisible beneath layers of dust. Curiosity piqued once more, Lila crawls over and pulls it out. The box is simple but sturdy, with a tiny latch that clicks open easily. Inside, she finds a folded letter, yellowed with age but still intact. Her hands tremble as she unfolds it. The handwriting matches Clara's journal entries, confirming it was written by her. The letter begins, "Dear Thomas, my dearest brother, if you are reading this, then perhaps fate has brought us closer together once more. I miss you every day, and though we were separated by forces beyond our control, I have never stopped believing that we will see each other again." Lila reads on, her heart pounding. Clara pours her soul into the letter, expressing her love for Thomas and recounting memories of their childhood adventures. But then, near the end, Lila discovers something astonishing. "I heard rumors that you settled in Willow Creek, not far from our old home. If you're still there, please know that I've kept your favorite toy soldier safe all these years. It reminded me of you whenever I felt alone. I hope someday you'll come back, or I'll find a way to reach you." Willow Creek. That's the name of the town where Lila and her family now live. The revelation hits Lila like a bolt of lightning. Could Clara's brother still be alive? Could he really be living nearby? Her mind races with possibilities. What if she could track him down and deliver the letter herself? What if she could reunite him with his sister's memory after all these years? For a moment, doubt creeps in. What if she's wrong? What if Thomas moved away, or worse? But then she remembers Clara's words. Never stop believing. If Clara held on to hope for decades, surely Lila can do the same. Determined to act, Lila carefully folds the letter and tucks it into her pocket. She knows she can't do this alone. She needs help. Quietly, she sneaks back downstairs and wakes her parents, explaining everything she's discovered. At first, they're skeptical, But when she shows them the journal, the treasures, and the letter, they realize how important this is, not just to Lila, but to the people whose lives are tied to the house. Her dad nods thoughtfully. "We'll do whatever we can to help," he says, his voice filled with admiration for his daughter's determination. Together, they decide to visit Willow Creek Historical Society the next morning to search for records of Thomas's whereabouts. This discovery transforms the story into something even bigger than Lila imagined. It's no longer just about solving a mystery or honoring Clara's memory. It's about rekindling a connection that was lost decades ago. The theme of hope shines brightly here, reminding readers of the enduring power of love and perseverance. Lila reflects on how much she's grown throughout this journey. When she first entered the hidden room, she was just a curious child looking for adventure. Now, she's become someone who understands the importance of kindness, empathy, and taking action to make a difference. Even though she never met Clara or Thomas, their story has touched her deeply, teaching her lessons she'll carry for the rest of her life. As the family prepares to investigate further, Lila feels a mix of excitement and nervousness. Will they find Thomas? Will he remember Clara? And most importantly, will this bring closure to a chapter that began so many years ago? The climax leaves readers on the edge of their seats, eager to see how the story concludes. The emotional stakes are higher than ever, and the uplifting message of human connection resonates strongly. The next morning, Lila and her parents head to the Willow Creek Historical Society, armed with Clara's letter and journal. After hours of searching through old records, newspaper clippings, and census data, they finally uncover a lead: an elderly man named Thomas Whitaker who matches the description in Clara's writings. According to recent records, he lives in a modest house on the outskirts of town. With hearts full of hope, the family visits Thomas's home. When they knock on the door, an older gentleman answers, his hair silver, his face lined with age, but his eyes sharp and kind. At first, he looks puzzled by their arrival, but when Lila shyly hands him the letter and journal, his expression shifts from confusion to disbelief. Tears well up in his eyes as he reads Clara's words. His hands tremble as he traces the faded ink, recognizing his sister's handwriting instantly. "Clara!" he whispers, his voice breaking. "It's really her!" Lila watches silently, her heart swelling as Thomas flips through the pages of the journal. She sees the moment recognition dawns, the stories, the memories, the love that Clara poured into every word. It's clear that this discovery means everything to him. Thomas invites them inside, where he shares fragments of his own story. He explains how he and Clara were separated during wartime, sent to live with different relatives after their parents passed away. Over the years, he tried to find her, but the chaos of the times made it nearly impossible. Eventually, he gave up hope, believing she was gone forever. But now, thanks to Lila, he has a piece of her back. The locket, the toy soldier, and the photograph bring Clara's presence alive in ways he never thought possible. "She kept our promise," he says, clutching the locket tightly. "Even when I couldn't be there for her, she never forgot me." He turns to Lila, his eyes glistening with gratitude. "You've done something truly remarkable, young lady. You've given me back my sister, not in person, but in spirit. Thank you." Lila beams, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. For the first time, she fully understands the impact of her actions. This wasn't just about solving a mystery, it was about healing wounds that had festered for decades. Later that evening, Lila returns to the hidden room, now transformed in her eyes. What once felt like a dusty, forgotten space now radiates with meaning. She sits cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by the echoes of Clara and Thomas's bond. Though the treasures are gone, their essence remains, a testament to the power of love and perseverance. She thinks about everything she's learned over the past few days, the importance of curiosity, the value of empathy, and the courage it takes to follow through on a promise. Most importantly, she realizes that even small acts of kindness can have a profound impact on others. Her parents join her in the attic, sitting beside her as the sun sets outside. "You did good, kiddo," her dad says, ruffling her hair affectionately. "You brought two people back together, even after all these years." Her mom smiles softly. "And you reminded us what really matters: family, connection, and never giving up hope." As the light fades and the attic grows quiet, Lila feels a deep sense of pride, not just for solving the mystery, but for helping mend a broken family. The hidden room, once a symbol of secrets and isolation, has become a place of unity and healing.